Hi, this is Tim. We're going to do another woodworking project today. This is just a little after Christmas and I got a couple of days off of work, so I decided to do a woodworking project, something I've never done before. It's a clock. I've made shaker clocks before, but this is the first round clock I've ever made. Should be relatively easy. I'm going to show you the glue up I've got started, and we're going to make a fixture in a little while to cut the circle so it's all smooth and round and looks good. So let's take a look at what we got. Okay, this is the panel we're going to use. This is a replica of an old A&W sign. It's tin. You can get these in all kind of different things, oil companies, gas company, cars, lots of different styles of these round tins. I think it's going to make a nice clock. Like I said, it's the first time I've ever tried this, so we'll see how it works out. Here is our clock mechanism. I picked this up at a craft store for $5. Comes with the handles. It's a simple quartz mechanism. You put one AA battery in it, it'll run for years. It's pretty nice. The panel was $14, so it's definitely cheaper to buy a clock than it is to make one. And I had some scrap oak laying around that I'm making the frame out of. So all in all, it shouldn't cost too much. It'll be unique and gives me a little something to do on my day off. So now it's important to line all your pieces up so the grain looks the best. The color stays very much the same. It's all cut from one piece of wood, but there's quite a bit of variance, especially in oak, between the grain, even on the same piece of lumber. That looks pretty good. Joints are nice and... Alright, here we go with the glue up. We're going to use a combination of wood glue and clamps and some hot glue to hold this together, because I don't have a clamp to hold an 8-sided object. If I find that this is a project people like and I need to make more, then maybe I'll either make a fixture or buy a special band clamp for this, but for right now we're just going to go with clamps and glue and see how we do. Everything's been lightly sanded to knock off any sharp edges or any slab left over from the cutoffs. I slide them nice and back and forth and I separate them. Helps that glue activate. Them corners nice and square, get a nice tight fit. And then we get our first clamp. Ordinarily I'd put a block under this, but they're going to get sanded and milled down quite a bit, so I don't think it's going to be an issue. If it does, we can always sand them out later. Don't have to clamp. Sorry, I had to run off and get another clamp. There's one short. I'd used a spring clamp here before, and that's what's holding my camera up right now, so I was one short. I've got little pieces of plastic underneath here to keep the wood glue from squeezing out onto the board that I've got them set up on. And these two, I'm going to use cabinet maker's clamps. You clamp right over the joint. That'll help hold everything down flat to the board and keep everything squared that way. Clamped up. Get them joint corners nice and tight together. This is a rather clumsy assembly, but it's what I've got the way it clamps right now. So that's the way we're going to do it. It'll get the job done, and that's what's important. Keeping them joints nice and tight. Again, we're going to be machining the corners off the edges off, so I can tap this with a hammer. Ordinarily I'd use a rubber mallet. Make sure they stay nice and tight. Now these are going to get hot glued into place because I can't get clamps over there. This is the first time I've ever tried this. I've seen it done on TV and it seemed to work pretty good, so we'll give it a shot. Pretty good and tight. Press it down. You gotta get it good and flat so that it doesn't stand too proud of the surface. It's going to stand up a little bit because there's some thickness to the hot glue, so you're going to get a little bit of a offset, but it's not that much. It'll stand out fairly easily. And like I said, I've got no other way of clamping, so this is going to have to do. Make sure you don't grab the wrong glue. That would not be good. Let's get that back out of the way as far as I can. Give that hot glue a place to stick to. And now the most difficult part, the final piece. It's always a bit of a challenge getting that last piece in just right. Actually, this one came out really nice. That's looking good. Glue both corners of this board. Put them down. Get them good and set. Get extra glue down in there. A couple dabs of hot glue. Don't put on too much because this glue is hard to get off. Surprisingly enough, when you're going to pry this up later, it's really tight. Okay, here's our glue up. What we have here is oak. We've cut the joints at 22.5 degrees. So that's what the octagon looks like. We still have to mill it. I want to mill the inside round and the outside round, countersink it for the panel to go in, and with the clock mechanism. Now let's take a look at the panel. Alright, done the math. And we're going to have a 12-inch tin. The maximum outside diameter of the clock is going to be 13 inches. The inside diameter of the clock, the rim that you'll be able to see, will be 11.5 inches. And we have an undercut in the back side that's a hair over 12 inches for the panel to slide up inside of. So that means our fixture, we're going to put a hole in at 6 inches, 5 3/4, and 6.5 inches. And that'll give us the pivot point to be able to cut our panel out to the right size.